And now it smells like butterbeer. Hello friends, it is Danny. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a tips video in which I give you all the tips and tricks that I learned during my first year last year at Bookcon. Convention season is upon us. All of the book conventions are happening right now. Though I have very little experience at them, I learned a lot during my first visit to my first ever book convention last year at Bookcon in New York. And so I thought I would pass all these little wisdom-y things that I've learned on to you guys in case you happen to be going to Bookcon or BEA or any book convention this year. Most of these tips, of course, are geared towards Bookcon, but I'm sure they could be applied to essentially any convention, book or non-book related. So I have a whole list here of things that I want to talk about. These are in order. These are just in the order that they came out of my brain and onto the paper, and there are a lot of them. So I am just going to jump right in and tell you the first tip that I have for Bookcon is to pack light. Unless you are living in New York City, you do not want to pack very, very heavy. My friend Hannah from the Instagram account and YouTube account and also Redbubble account, Oh Shy Hannah, we went to Bookcon last year and we live in Canada. So that is a 17-hour trip to New York because we took a bus and we're doing that trip again this year. And so we decided we were going to pack as light as possible. By this I mean you re-wear pants. You wear 1 to 2 pairs of pajamas for your entire trip. The reason why you pack so light with your clothes is because you need all of the space you can get in your suitcase for books. Like I said, unless you are living within the city and able to take those books home the first day you go, if you're staying for the entire weekend, you're gonna need a lot of room in your suitcase for all of the free books and all of the free things you are going to be getting, because you get a lot. I took a suitcase this size last year, actually a little bit bigger, and I had barely any room when I came home. So that's telling you something. For a size reference, I am 5 foot nothing, and that suitcase is about a little under half my height. And I stayed for the entire weekend, so that's saying something. Luckily this time I have both my bag and my mom's suitcase to fill up with free things this time, so it's gonna be great. I feel like last time I overpacked with a lot of the accessories and things that I brought, so this time literally all I am taking is my phone and my iPad. I think that's it for electronics other than my sprocket, which I now have a little handy dandy case for, so when I'm there, if I want to give friends that I meet a picture of us that we've taken on my phone, I can print it. I still have to put my extra papers in here. That goes for other bags as well, including like your carry-on bags and things. The next tip that I have is one that I cannot stress enough because Hannah and I learned this the hard way, the very, very hard way. This is kind of a two-part thing. One, please remember to at least eat breakfast, a very good hearty breakfast before you go to the con. And the reason for this is there is not a lot of places within the con that are like under $1 gajillion for food, and you're going to be spending most of your time on the floor in the circuit doing all kinds of book related things, and you're not going to want to actually go and sit down and take a minute to eat. So eating breakfast is important because you need to at least have something in your stomach when you start your day. Leading into my second tip, which is last time we did not do this. This time I would not go without suggesting that you bring snacks. These are just a couple of the things I might be bringing. These are like little arrowroot cookies. These are my new favorite thing, which are chocolate covered Oreos, and I'm kind of obsessed. I would also suggest bringing a water bottle. I think they had water fountains around the convention center that you could fill up your water bottle. And I know some people are like, oh, but you might not be able to bring food. Last time I checked, and I saw it on Twitter from like 2014, Emma Books actually asked if you were allowed to bring food and water into the con, and apparently you are. So my suggestion is at least bring a water bottle with some water in it and bring some snacks in your bag, because you, one, again, are not going to feel like going around and getting food while at the con. Two, it's kind of very hard to find food at the con. There's like a couple of vendors at the front, if they do the same layout as last year, that really were very expensive, like overly expensive. And yes, there are things outside, like the street meat vendors and things like that. But like I said, you're not going to want to be leaving the con at any point in time in the day. There's so much going on. So bringing snacks is like a #1 you need to do. As someone who gets very hangry and very shaky when she does not eat after a while, I found that last time I got severely dehydrated and also was like starving by the time I left, and so I cannot stress food enough. Next tip I have is to remember to bring your chargers. You do not realize how fast your phone will die when you are at this convention. You are using this phone all day to take pictures of you and authors, pictures of you and your friends, pictures of you and people you meet, as well as trying to figure out things on the Bookcon app, because the Bookcon app has just relaunched and that was a lifesaver. That is another tip that's kind of like off topic, but like please download the Bookcon app for 2018. A 10 out of 10 was so helpful for Hannah and I last year, and we were actually able to get extra autographing tickets from people and trading and everything, and like you met up at the end of the day and met these people off of the app, and we like traded books, and it was great. Back to the whole charger thing. Your phone, because you're using it so much, is going to die. So bringing one of these guys is like the #1 tip for technology. Please bring your phone, but also bring your charger. They do have charging stations all around the convention center. They're pretty scarce to use because literally everybody is going to be wanting to charge their phone when they're sitting at a panel or something. So my second suggestion for chargers are using things such as these. This right here is a phone case that I have for my phone, which is a iPhone 6s. And basically what it does is when the case is on my phone, I can pull the little thingy out of here and plug it into the bottom of the case, which goes into the bottom of my phone, and it charges my phone wirelessly while I'm still using it. If your phone is not one of the types of phones that can have one of those kinds of cases, the other thing I can suggest, and I think everybody knows about, and they actually were giving some away last year at some of the booths, is one of these. This is a power bank. I think everybody knows about this. I'm borrowing this from Tyler, my fiance. This is like a super duper fancy one. It charges 2 at once, and it holds like 5 charges at once. So I'll be able to charge my own phone as well as my mom's phone or anybody else in my group who needs it. And it just plugs into your cord and then plugs into your phone. And I cannot stress enough how much you are going to need those chargers, because your phone is going to die like 4 times. And don't be afraid to get backups for your backups, because last year, I didn't bring this specific one, but I brought one of my own, and it did not charge my phone completely, and then it completely died, and then the one that I got for free was not charged, because like they're just giving it to you then. And so I had to borrow Hannah's, and then hers died, and then we still had a missing phone, like that was dead, so we couldn't really contact each other. And your phone is your key contact for not only book information, Bookcon information, book app information, but also your contact to your people at the con. Because you are going to split up, I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna split up. Even though we said last year we weren't gonna split up, we split up. I don't even think we spent like an hour together, if that. And that's just because you're going one way doing your own, and they're doing their own, and all of their signings and everything is like on opposite sides of the con. I guess these big ones, the ones that I cannot stress enough, are at the very beginning. Make sure you have cash. We're going to need American money. This is not a drill. This is not just a friendly suggestion. This is like, no, you need cash. If you are going to be buying books for signings, or books in general, if they've got like books, tables, and things, you are going to need cash. 9 times out of 10, I went up to a stand and they did not have a card reader or like a swipey thingy, ATM, whatever you call them, to actually use your credit cards or debit cards. And so 9 times out of 10, I had to have cash. And thank God I did have cash. Knock wood, I'm gonna have cash again this time. There were some who like had their iPads and they would have the little chip at the top that they could swipe a card or whatever, but that was very few and far between. Definitely prefer cash from you, and so I would suggest having at least like $100 cash for buying books specifically for signings, because 9 times out of 10 you will have to buy a physical copy of the book that you want signed, and if you have extra books then they'll let you get that signed too. But Yes. Having cash, please, take cash. You're gonna want a con bag. It doesn't have to be like an official con bag. Hannah has like the Think Geek con bag and it was really cute. And I would actually suggest getting it because it held like everything in a bajillion books. Last year, I literally took a drawstring bag, and while it held everything that I wanted and needed and like I didn't have a problem, I wouldn't suggest those. For one, they're easy to get into if somebody wants to pickpocket you. I mean, it's New York, come on, it's bound to happen. And for two, they're just easy to break. I think mine almost broke once last year as well. And though you do get a lot of tote bags while on the floor in the con, I would suggest having a very sturdy bag to carry around with you. Note that they don't let rolling bags with you on the floor. They won't let you pull a rolling bag around. And I know that's kind of hard for some people who have the disabilities where they can't carry bags because of like bad backs and wheelchairs, etc. But they do have accommodations for people. So I would suggest looking into that if you are unable to carry a backpack. But for those of us that can carry backpacks, I would suggest a sturdy one, zippers, pockets, etc. You're going to want to carry all your crap in it. That way you have free hands, and maybe try and wear pants with pockets because then you don't have to worry about carrying your phone. My con bag for this year is my Bookcon bag, hey, that Hannah got me for Christmas. It is massive. It's literally going to take up my entire back and I have no regrets because when I open it up, it has a slot over here to hold my wallet and sprocket, etc. And then this over here, there's pockets for pens and pockets for other things. And this is like a laptop sleeve where my computer would go, but like it's perfect enough to hold at least 2 books in there. And when the bag is done up, I can also fit things in between here. So that's my bag for this year. Maybe I'll do a what's in my con bag video closer to Bookcon. We'll see. Another quick tip is just when you first get there, if it's your first time at the con, try and get an idea of what the con layout is. I remember the con layout very well from last year because I was there for both days, and you learn the layout really quickly and where certain vendors that you want to revisit are. Last year, Owl Crate was like right at the front of the door when you walked into the con, and it was great because we knew exactly where it was. But try and get an idea of where things are on the map. They will usually provide a booklet or like a poster or something with the map, and there will also be a map on the app this year. So get an idea of the layout because when you're in there and you're running around, you don't want to get lost. And you don't want to have to try and struggle looking at a map every 5 seconds. My next tip is kind of self-explanatory, but get there early. I'm gonna tell you, we got there last year, okay? The con started, again, at like 10 a.m. That's the time that it starts both days this year. That's the time that it started last year. We got there at like 8:30, 8 o'clock, thinking, oh, we're gonna be one of the first ones there. We're gonna get in right away. We were like 3,000th person there. It almost took us like half an hour to get through the line, to get to the front, to get your bag checked, to get your bag checked in, to then go to the con. It's kind of a mess. So my suggestion is get there early. If the con's starting at 10 o'clock and you have something that starts right at 10 o'clock, you better be one of the first 100 people in the lineup, meaning you better be there at like 7 or 7:30 or even earlier if you are that hardcore. I am not. I enjoy sleep and I don't mind waiting a little bit. But that is a suggestion for you early birds and willing to get there a bajillion hours too early. These next two kind of go together, and that is have a plan, stick to it. Okay, so there's 3. Have a plan, stick to it, and have a physical copy of that plan written out. Like I said, phones die, and if you have your little schedule set up on your Bookcon app, that's great, but try and have like a physical printed out copy of said plan of where you want to be and where you're going to be when it comes to like autograph signings and everything, and make sure every person in your group is aware and has a copy of that plan. When Hannah and I went last year, we had our Bookcon binders, and it was literally a physical binder that we had our ticket information, our medical insurance in just in case, as well as all of our plans for where we wanted to be as a group, where we were going to be as separate. And if anything were to change, we would obviously text each other that change, but having that physical copy was very helpful when my phone died and needed to be charged, because then I knew where Hannah was going to be, so I could go find her, grab her charger when mine wasn't working, use her charger, charge my phone, and then be able to use it again. Just little tips and tricks, and having that plan will obviously help you plan out your day to the T, know where you need to be, where you're going to be, where you want to be, and then you can get the best experience out of your Bookcon. Going along with the whole group setting, find a location that you want to call your home central, like, group meeting point, and set a time and location during that day where, like, everybody is kind of maybe free, and meet back there and just check in with each other. Last year it felt like we were crossing each other's paths, but we never really met up until we met up at Starbucks right before a signing that we had together. And that meetup at Starbucks, which the Starbucks is like up the stairs and then down the stairs, that meetup at Starbucks was like the homing center to what we needed to, like, know where our next moves were. And that is crucial. Make sure you have that if you're going as a group. We went with 3 last time, we're going with almost 7 or 8 of us this time. And I can't stress any of these tips enough, because these are all things I wish I had have known last year when I went for the first time, and these are things I am so grateful to know this time. Kind of self-explanatory, but if you don't know, Bookcon has a lot of lines, and you're doing a lot of standing, and you're doing a lot of sitting on the ground, on the floor, and you have no shame in doing it, because after a while you feel like you're gonna pass out on your feet because your feet hurt so bad. You get home to your hotel room later that night, and even with the greatest shoes in the possible planet, the bottoms of your feet are red, they are throbbing, they are sore, and then you have a whole nother day of con the next day, and it is absolutely horrible and the best experience of your life. The reason why I'm telling you this is I need you to know that you need to wear the most comfortable shoes you have. Memory foam is your best friend. Flip-flops are a no-go. You're more than likely going to be stepped on at least 3 times, especially if you're short like me and nobody ever sees you until they've stepped on you and they turn around. Make sure you wear comfortable shoes. I wore my memory foam shoes last year, and even my feet after that were killing me, and so I'm wearing memory foam shoes again this year. Though my feet were killing me, they would have been a lot worse if I was wearing heels, if I was wearing anything other than these. And I have a couple different options. I have my memory foam Toms, and I also have my memory foam running shoes, so I'll see which ones I feel like wearing when I get there. Also, wear realistic clothing. I understand it's like you're gonna meet authors and you're gonna meet people and you're gonna want to look nice, but you're gonna be standing in lines all day and you're gonna be sweaty and you're going to be very uncomfortable for most of the day. Even, like, it sounds awful, but it's not. And so I'm suggesting, like, maybe unless you're comfortable wearing dresses like 24/7, wear a nice pair of like leggings or jeggings or capri leggings or something comfortable, because you're gonna be doing a lot of standing and sitting. Try and make it book related. Like last year I wore 2 book related shirts and they actually got comments from authors saying, "I love your shirt," and like it was a great conversation starter, but it was also comfortable. And that is a great thing. Now Bookcon has a glorious thing that they like to call bag check. It's explanatory. You can check in a bag that they then hold for you. You have your ticket. When you go back to the people, you give them your ticket, you get your bag back. The great thing about this is you can take your suitcase to Bookcon, check it in, and at different periods in the day, when you have too many things that you are carrying and your hands are no longer free, you take that back to your bag, show them your ticket, say, "I'm putting things into my bag," put the things in your bag, and then you go. And they're there, and then you pick them up at the end of the day and you're golden, and they won't give your bag away to anybody. You have to have your ticket. So last year Hannah and I took 1 bag between the 2 of us, and every day it came back full. So this year I think we're all gonna end up taking our own suitcase, and it's literally like $3 for the entire day, or $5 if it's a bigger bag, I think. And it's great because then you have your suitcase and then you don't have to carry everything home. You just get to roll it home and it's out of the way and you don't have to carry it all through the convention center. Be on the lookout for authors. They are everywhere. This is a book convention. They are going to be everywhere. I turned around this way, I turned around that way. There's Adam Silvera, there's Holly Black, there's Danielle Page, there's Maggie Stevott. I'm telling you, they are everywhere. And if you recognize them and you know them and they don't look like they're too busy and they might be talking to somebody, sure. And it might be another author friend or just anybody in general. The thing you can do is just go up and be like, excuse me, hi, are you so-and-so? If you are, can I get picture and get you to sign thing? Yes. The worst they're gonna say is no, that they're too busy. And that was my thing last year. I had to get over the idea that I couldn't, like, I didn't want to go up to them and bother them, but then I was like, and Hannah was the same way, and I was the one that was like, Hannah, no, we need to go get, like, we need to go and just talk to them and say hi and at least say thank you for your book and at least be like, hey, I'm acknowledging you. Can I get a picture? 9 times out of 10 they will say yes. And your hotspot for any author is Starbucks downstairs, the one that I was talking about earlier. That Starbucks is Author Central. I met Adam Silvera, Danielle Page, Lainey Taylor, Nick Stone, and I saw Holly Black in passing within the span of like 15 minutes. And I also got book plate signed, which leads me to my next tip. Instead of taking a whole book with you, because if you're like me, you're traveling from Canada or somewhere far away and you're not going to want to bring a whole bookshelf full of books. I mean, you probably will, but you're going to be taking one of those home. You don't need that. So Hannah had the great idea last year to take book plates. And by book plates, I literally mean going to the dollar store and getting little labels that you would like put labels on for whatever and have them sign it. They're literally blank. This is Adam Silvera's History is All You Left Me. And he signed that book plate for me, and I brought it home. I stuck it in my book. I now have a signed copy of History Is All You Left Me. I also got one from Danielle Page for Dorothy Must Die, and I got one for Maggie Stiefvater for The Raven Boys. So I highly suggest having either pretty customized book plates or even just book plates like those ones. My next tip is to be prepared for mobs. And yes, I mean like mobs, like not a flash mob. I mean like swarms of people attacking other people to get to books. Last year there were like 3 mobs. There was one for Leigh Bardugo's book. Warcross was another one that got a mob. And then the HarperCollins ARC drop, which had a copy of They Both Die at the End, which I was in that mob. The autographing things, they're usually fine. They usually line you up nice and pristine, and like there's no mobbing involved. Like you're guaranteed those spots. But when it's an ARC drop or like an author in-booth signing, sometimes there are mobs. It's inevitable. It's Bookcon and it's a big convention center. There are over like 50,000 people there. You're gonna have mobs. My advice for anxious people like myself is like I didn't let the mob overwhelm me. I knew where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do. I tried to keep myself as calm as I could. I mean, I was, of course, very overwhelmed. There is like 200 people surrounding you. And they're everywhere. They're on all sides of you. Try and listen to the people who are trying to commandeer the mob. If you're listening to them and doing what they ask you to do, you are more than likely going to be getting the ARC or the signing or whatever you are there to get, as opposed to the people who are pushing and shoving and will be sent to the end of the line or kicked out of that mob, etc. If it gets to be too overwhelming, of course, you can just leave. There's nothing holding you to that mob. But my suggestion is just try to keep yourself as calm as possible as one can be. And the mob that I was in was relatively calm. The extent of it was when they told us to line up, everybody just kind of came in a big swarm and then they kind of corralled us into a nice line. And I just happened to be closer up to the front of that line, so it was okay. Just breathe, be prepared, and try to do whatever you can to keep yourself calm, because in the end it will be worth it. You will be getting that signing, you will be getting that ARC, you will be getting exactly what you're in that mob for. The biggest frustration is when there is such a big mob and then they decide not to do the ARC drop or signing or whatever it is, or they'll move the place, so then you have that mob moving through the entire center. And if you're not part of that mob but you see it, kind of just stay out of the way and let them pass, and then you can go do your thing. That's what happened to me during the Warcross one. I know most people don't like to snoop in on other people's business, but my suggestion to you is that if you hear somebody next door, you know, next to you, just casually talking about like where they were before and what vendor they're at, if that vendor is doing some sort of free giveaway, keep an ear out for it, because last year owl crate, as well as like a bookish box in the back corner, and like other publishers and exhibitors and vendors and things were doing like free drops and free things. And Owl Crate had a big spinny wheel, and you spun the wheel and you got a free thing. And there was like a dice game that I played where you threw the dice and you got a book, and like they all do it at some point, and they all have giveaways. And so they basically just take your badge that you have for that day, and they'll scan it. Your badge is connected to your email. When they scan it, it automatically signs you up for their email list thing, and it usually signs you up for a giveaway. So if you hear about any giveaways or any free things like that, just kind of like, you know, listen, try and figure out where they are. The worst thing that's gonna happen is that you have to turn to that person and be like, oh, that sounds really interesting, where can I find that? So something that Hannah and I did not necessarily get to do last time, we were more concerned with like signings and books and free things, etc., was we didn't really go search for the photo booths. Last year they had the big Cassie Clare photo booth for the Mortal Instruments and whatever. We never really found that. I ended up spotting it like as we were leaving, and that was like on the last day. So I would suggest scoping out where the photo booths are. All you do is go up to them, you're in line, and then if you're there with a group, you scan one of your badges and the photos will automatically be sent to the email that's linked to those badges. Take a couple of different pictures for you. And so this year our group is definitely going to be doing that. But keep an eye out and keep an ear out for where all of these different photo booths are. I think there are quite a few actually from what I've heard. One of the free things that I was well aware of when I got to the con was that they give you a free lanyard. Yes, there is like the Bookcon official one that they do every year, but they give you a free one, and so I did not buy like the Bookcon lanyard. It's like right as you're going in, they have a whole bucket full of them. And last year it was a BookBub lanyard. I don't know what this year is going to be, but the reason why I'm bringing up this lanyard is because another free thing that the Bookcon itself gives out, they have little booths all around the convention, is they give out these little Bookcon buttons. They did this last year. I don't know if they did it the years before. I would assume they did, because some people were saying that they've had Bookcon badges for like the past 5 years, and so I can only assume that in past Chicago ones or whatever they did this. But this one was obviously my first Bookcon, so the person wrote my first Bookcon on the badge, and so this year I will be getting my second Bookcon badge, and I highly suggest getting this because even if down the road you're not going to keep all of the things you got at these Bookcons, I think getting this button would be like the most commemorative thing that you can get, because you can keep it and hang it on your wall for forever. I obviously kept my badges and my button and lanyard from last year. I hang it up there on my book wall. I think this is actually one of the best commemorative keepsakes you can keep from Bookcon, and having this button just like kind of signifies like, yeah, I was there. That is the thing that I did. And the last tip I have for you friends is have fun. It's probably the cheesiest, oldest, the first one in the book that I could ever tell you, but the whole purpose of this is to go to the event, meet new people, meet authors, and have fun. Get free books, get free things, but have fun. Don't let it become something that stresses you out. Don't let it become something that you regret doing because you want to be 10 different places at once. Find the things that are going to make you the most happy and the most excited, and the things that you really want to do, and do them. The only thing you're going to regret about Bookcon is not being able to do everything that you wanted to do. And that's just because you were doing other things that you wanted to do. Like, you're not going, know that you're not going to get to do every single thing. If you were, you'd have to be in like 2 places or 3 places at once, because everything kind of overlaps each other. So you really do have to pick what you want when you want to go, as it comes down to like panels and signings and things. But my #1 tip is to just keep yourself calm and have fun, and know you're in a safe space. You're in a place surrounded by people who are there for the exact same reason, and that's because they love books and they love reading. And you get to make friends and you get to meet authors, and it's really fun. So don't let like the little things get you down about Bookcon, because the whole purpose is to have fun. And I really hope you enjoy your time at Bookcon, because I know last year I did, and I know that this is now going to become a yearly thing that not only I do, but probably Hannah as well as the group that I'm going with this year. those are my tips for Bookcon. I hope they help you. I don't know if I've missed anything. If I have missed something, just pop a question down below. I will definitely try to answer to the best of my ability. I really do hope that you have a good time at Bookcon or any convention in general that you're going to this year. And if you are going to Bookcon this year, 2018, in the Javits Center in New York City, please let me know. Comment down below. And if you see me there, say hi. That happened a couple of times last time I went, and people said hi to me, and it was like the best feeling ever. So come up, say hi, take a picture. It makes my day. I don't know if I'm going to have any other Bookcon related videos leading up to Bookcon until my vlog. If there is anything else you would like me to film related to Bookcon, comment down below. Just leave some suggestions because I'm very open to filming those. I don't know what my next video is going to be, but whatever it is, I will see you guys in that one.